Hello and welcome back to my channel where I talk about the JET program and my life in Japan. So if that interests you, then be sure to subscribe. I want to start this video with a congratulations to Anna, my patron, who at the time of filming this video was the first of my patrons to let me know that they got an interview for the JET program. So well done, Anna. I've also been hearing from other subscribers or viewers in general the last few days by email or DM or other ways, people letting me know that they got their interview, and I'm so happy for you guys. Honestly, I feel like I'm getting secondhand excitement for all of you. So if you passed the application stage and you got yourself an interview, comment it below because I really want to share in that joy. If you haven't heard back yet, don't assume bad news. I saw this tweet from the UK JET program's Twitter account, and that would lead me to believe that just because you haven't heard anything does not mean it's a bad result. So keep your fingers crossed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Good luck, guys. But if you have made it to the interview stage, then this is the video for you. I've made 2 videos about the interview process previously, but this time I'm going to take a slightly different angle on my interview advice.
Am I cordial?
Obviously, this whole application process this year has been especially stressful with COVID, delays, and all sorts of stuff. Another thing which COVID is probably gonna make a bit different this year is video interviews rather than in-person interviews. So I'm gonna gear my advice more towards video interviews and COVID-related JET stuff, so definitely stay tuned for that, and also just some more general advice. So let's get into that. So to start, coronavirus. It's kind of consumed every aspect of our lives these days, and it may well enter the world of your JET interview as well. Now obviously I don't know what questions the JET program will ask you, but I think this year it's good to prepare for questions relating to coronavirus just in case.
My, what a year it's been. This time last year...
How do you plan to cope with social distance teaching?
Are you all good? Oh god, oh no.
I don't know, but I feel like it's definitely a real possibility you'll get questions about it. For example, literally off the top of my head, Jets who are placed in the countryside often cope with their isolation and loneliness by travelling a lot. That may not be possible for quite some time. If you're placed in the countryside, how will that make you feel? Or how will you cope with that? What would your coping mechanism be? If you have a pre-existing health condition of some kind, how will you feel being in a foreign country that you don't speak the language of with that during a pandemic, especially during a pandemic? Do you have some kind of action plan, or what extra steps do you have in mind to protect yourself from the virus? In your countries, people are staying home, everything's locked down, people are working from home. ALTs for the most part still have to go to school every day, teach all their classes as usual. Is that going to be a problem for you? How will you continue to promote cultural exchange despite less encouraged social interaction, social gatherings, events? How do you plan to continue to push JET's goals given the situation? They might also ask you something about teaching classes with strict social distancing, so maybe certain schools won't allow pair work even. How would that affect your teaching approach? Will you be able to adapt to that? And so on. Literally just off the top of my head, there's a whole bunch of questions they could ask. They may not ask any, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't expecting that question.
On to my second point now. Just because you're not allowed to leave your house, depending where you are, and you can't go meet a lot of people, does not mean you should just be using your immediate family or the people you're living with to practice interview questions with. I said in a previous video, you want to get everyone you can to interview you. Ex or current employers, people with interview experience, maybe family friends you don't know so well, people you generally find intimidating.
I'm looking forward to completing your training.
What 3 items would you bring from home to show your students?
reach out to them online, see if they're willing to do some kind of mock interview with you online. Also, in case you didn't know, if you're really struggling to find someone to do a mock interview with, I do offer mock interviews with people. You can send me your application, your statement of purpose, everything, and I will make a mock interview tailored to your application. I do not have the time to do that for many people, so I think I limited it to like 10 or 20 maximum, but I mean, I doubt that many people will go for it. But if you are interested in doing a mock interview with me, then you can check out my Patreon. It's linked in the description. So I don't know if they're gonna get you to do it via Skype or Zoom or what, but whatever the system is, test it. And that involves a lot more than you think. That does not just mean, you know, call up your nan on Skype, make sure she can hear and see you and call it a day. No, no, no. Don't be that person. There's so many more things you should be prepared for. First of all, you should test different audio inputs. Is the microphone built into your computer better than your earphones microphone, or do you have an external microphone? Do all of these microphones work with whatever video calling software you're using? Test them all out. Make sure that you'll be in a quiet environment, because obviously a lot of you are having to stay home due to a lot of restrictions. You're with your family, you're with people are bored.
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
You want to make sure that your family's gonna shut up during your calls, so be sure that that will be the case. Check your background, like you don't want anything that's too distracting or, God forbid, embarrassing. I honestly think it's just best to have a very bare, clean background so the focus is all on you. This is what you want to see. I've said a number of times in all of my application and interview related videos that in my opinion, I think it is best to not mention anime, with a few exceptions of course. And I think this carries over here as well. Don't be decorating the background of your video call with anime statues or posters or, you know, everything you have. I mean, I have some anime figures and stuff kicking about my place, but I would certainly not put them in the background of any of my interviews or anything professional, even if it is about Japan, because I've had people comment on previous videos like, well, I did pass the application stage and I did talk about anime and blah blah blah. Of course they're not gonna see or hear you mention anime and be like, no, he's not getting on the JET program. I just don't think it does you any favors. But I see those comments, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, if you think it's an asset, then you do you. But you know, you're watching this video for my advice. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. Okay, just because it's a video interview does not give you an excuse to not formally dress up from head to toe all the way. You do not want to be stuck in this situation. You're about to introduce yourself to a class for the first time. Stand up there in your room and imagine you're standing at the front of a class. Right now? Exactly. Okay. Good morning, class. How's your Wi-Fi? If everyone's home all the time, if your whole family's in, if they're all on the Wi-Fi, is that going to affect your video call? Are you able to make sure that during the call people can use fewer devices? Where is your setup? Can you do it in front of a window? Get some daylight, some nice lighting? Think about what's best. Don't just do it wherever your laptop happens to be. Even think about the camera position. I think it's best to have it around eye level or slightly higher for the camera. You definitely don't want the interviewers to be seeing this, because you don't want it to seem like you are looking down on them. They're the ones who are in the position of power. And especially when you're talking with Japanese people, that kind of hierarchy in the workplace is important to showing respect and stuff. And it's just a little thing. If you have a lower video angle, no one's gonna see that and be like, oh, that's so rude or anything like that. But you know, the devil's in the detail. It's all about the overall impression. And finally, do you have a plan B? If the video cuts out, if for whatever reason your laptop's not working on the day, do you have an iPad on standby, your phone, a backup laptop, which you've also tested?
It's just good sense to back up your backup.
Be prepared, because you know, it only takes one of anything I've just said to go horribly wrong for your interviewers to just be like,
Well, she tried. At least, you know.
I'm assuming if you've watched one of my videos, you've probably seen a few other interview advice videos I posted where I gave a list of the questions I practiced with when I was preparing for the interview, and me and Tanya talking about our interview experiences, the questions we were asked and so on, and that's great. But don't just watch my videos, look for others as well. Other people post the same kind of stuff, and the more examples of questions you can see, the better. The only thing I'd say is don't focus so much on people's example answers, because you really want to have your original answers. But also, people upload to YouTube very quickly, and different countries have their interviews at different times, so even be keeping an eye out for people's interview stories from this year, because they will start to pop up soon, I'm sure, and that will maybe give you an insight into what the video calls are like, and if they are asking any corona-related questions, and so on. Okay guys, so I am wishing you the best of luck. If you have your interview, do comment below how it went, just for other people as well. It'll be so helpful to look in the comments and see what other interviews were like, and I'm very curious to hear how they went. Let me know the process. What questions were you asked? How did you find it? Do you think it went well? I want to know. I want to know this stuff, so comment it below. If you found this video useful, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like, and if you want to see more advice about the JET program, then be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye bye!